Queen summoned everyone to a private meeting. Everyone attended except Meghan Markle. I don't blame Meghan for not going, because nothing good happens when white people invite you to the countryside. We've all seen Get Out. We know how this shit ends.
Close now! Now, the keys!
Oh, be careful, bro.
You know I can't give you the keys, right, babe?
Meghan Markle is on the American program Suits.
Yes, Wednesdays, 8 p.m, USA Network. Check it out.
The only difference between that show and this is people watch this one.
Generously offered to keep the wax figures of Harry and Meghan safe.
Yeah, that's correct. I would just like to say that I'm definitely not using the wax figures for sex stuff.
What did he say?
I don't know how to break this to you, H. But if you weren't in the royal family, M wouldn't be with you.
I'm so busy and happy. I'm glad we didn't make it, Harry. I don't want to be a duchess and live in a huge house for free.
It wasn't like the typical late-night insults when Trevor Noah targeted Meghan and Harry. His insight was incisive, perceptive, and derived from a distinct world viewpoint that went beyond a straightforward joke. It was more than simply a joke. A cross-examination took place. 3 phases of the humorous takedown must be examined in order to comprehend how the Sussexes came to be seen as a global joke. First, the tone was established by Trevor Noah's own multifaceted criticism. Then came the enormous influx of comedians from the UK and America. And lastly, the one joke that caused so much controversy and apparently provoked a strong reaction. Numerous comedians made fun of the royal line of succession, but one British comedian's joke was deemed excessive by many. It was such a gloomy time that it sparked a firestorm. We must begin with the man at the center of it all before we can get to that precise clip. His distinct viewpoint on race was always Trevor Noah's most potent tool, as it allowed him to analyze the royal drama in a manner that no other American host could.
And I know some people are disappointed by the name Archie. There's one person who's super excited, the Queen. Yeah, because you know for the last 9 months, she's been like, please don't be Jamal, please don't be Jamal.
However, Noah's gags weren't limited to racial humor. He brilliantly revealed the undercurrent of the entire talk about Meghan by calling out the coded language he observed others employing.
She comes from an unconventional family. Yes, very different family.
I was like, yeah, man, she does. Just like Harry.
However, Noah's criticism went beyond race. He also persecuted them mercilessly for their new American existence, particularly Harry's seeming lack of a conventional career. In a humorous way, he pictured what Meghan might have been saying to her prince as a contemporary American lady.
The first black woman into the royal family. She looked at Harry and she's like, nigga, you need to get a job. You a grown-ass man. You can't still be living in your mama's house, Harry.
From there, Noah imagined a scenario that emphasized Harry's particular issue while delving into the utter ridiculousness of what it would truly be like for a prince to join the regular job.
Can you imagine being his boss when he screws up? Like, what do you call him in and say, Prince Harry, get in here, your majesty. You blew the Henderson account, my...
Harry working hard for a living wasn't merely a theory. In order to illustrate how far the monarchy had descended, Noah used the true incident of Harry approaching Meghan for voiceover work at a film premiere.
It used to be like, if you marry my daughter, I'll give you burgundy. Now it's like, my wife actually does a pretty good Timon. You should hear her. Come on, baby, do the thing. Hakuna Matata, do the...
Noah came to the last question as a result of this ongoing derision of their status and job. What does being a royal actually imply these days? The greatest royal loss he could imagine, he said, was not even losing their titles.
Meghan are losing their titles? That's the most embarrassing royal loss since William's hairline. And I won't lie, if I was Harry and Meghan, I'll be like, fine, then we'll be known as Roya.
He went on to say that the titles themselves had essentially lost their significance in the contemporary age of celebrity. They were already well known by their first names.
Like Harry and Meghan need those titles for us to know who they are. No one hears names like Harry and Meghan and they're like, which Harry and Meghan? The ones from Nashville? Is that them?
But even though their fame seemed inevitable, Noah looked ahead and saw one final humorous outcome of their choices. Making assumptions about their child Archie's potential future.
Meghan and Harry's son Archie, he's gonna grow up and be like, let me get this straight. We used to be in the royal family? Like I could have been a king and now I'm working at Burger King? Is that what you're saying?
Noah had presented the case against them in every way imaginable. That pylon swiftly progressed from simple jokes to full-fledged skits and weird rants, and soon the rest of the American comic scene would join. Beginning with Conan O'Brien, the derision even took on a surreal quality. Conan took use of the well-known removal of Harry and Meghan's figures from the royal display by the Madame Tussauds Wax Museum to deliver a genuinely strange and surreal comedy.
Generously offered to keep the wax figures of Harry and Meghan safe.
Yeah, that's correct. I would just like to say that I'm definitely not using the wax figures for sex stuff.
The narrative became much more bizarre when Conan requested an update on the figures.
A loving home, and I treat them better than the museum ever did. They didn't appreciate Meghan's soft hands or Harry's supple lips.
Saturday Night Live used a different strategy, utilizing regular character skits to make fun of the pair, frequently with cast member Mikey Day portraying a silly, attention-seeking Prince Harry, while Conan aimed for pure silliness. In one joke, the actor portraying Prince William took a direct aim at Meghan's program, Suits, by using his position.
Meghan Markle is on the American program Suits.
Yes, Wednesdays, 8 p.m, USA Network. Check it out.
The only difference between that show and this is people watch this.
William's character used the comments about Suits being unwatchable as a comedy about his own family life, and it became a recurring motif.
Whenever the kids are being fussy and not going to bed, she puts on an episode of Suits and they're out. So, what are you doing? Ow! Stop!
The sketches also capitalized on the brothers' actual conflict, including physical appearance taunts that may turn into a brawl.
Buckingham Palace does not comment on political matters. Thank you and goodbye.
Thank you and goodbye, said Williams here. Yes.
They even made fun of Harry's previous relationships. Emma Stone, the guest host, plays one of Harry's ex-girlfriends in a sketch where she cynically explains why she's relieved she didn't wind up like Meghan.
Busy and happy. I'm glad we didn't make it, Harry. I don't want to be a duchess and live in a huge house for free.
However, Joe Rogan's circumstance was arguably the most unusual comical one. This sketch wasn't pre-written. It was an actual tirade. The dynamic was reversed. This time, Joe Rogan was chastised by Prince Harry for disseminating false information. Rogan was retaliating by recounting the moment he discovered Prince Harry was disparaging him.
One time, I just woke up, I'm in my underwear, I plop down in front of the TV, I turn it on. The moment I turn it on, Prince Harry's talking shit about.
And his initial response was a genuine, humorous moment of self-doubt rather than fury.
Seen misinformation! And my first thought was, did I? I might have.
Prince Harry had unintentionally produced a new, more potent story for Rogan to tell in an attempt to steer the conversation. One in which Harry became the joke once more. Although the American comics had demonstrated their versatility, stand-up's bluntness would turn out to be far more cruel. Comedians like Andrew Schultz expressed the unadulterated apathy that many Americans felt by dropping all pretense and going right to the point.
Prince Harry and Meghan, we don't give a we don't care about the royal family.
They got a Netflix show.
We never cared about nothing that had to do with y'all. 1775 was the last time we gave a
Other comedians, such as Nikki Glaser, used a different tack and imagined the far less luxurious parallel life Meghan would be living in if she hadn't married a prince, while Schultz completely rejected them.
If she didn't marry him, she would be on The Bachelor this season. She would be Megan M. from Sherman Oaks barista. She just got lucky.
The British stand-ups were even more intimate than the American entertainers, utilizing their closeness to the monarchy to target the couple's relationship at its core. Simon Broadkin, a comedian, directly questioned Meghan's intentions.
I don't know how to break this to you, H. But if you weren't in the royal family, M wouldn't be with you.
Rod Ken also succinctly summarized their Netflix documentary's cynical plot, which he believed to be ridiculous.
Ginger Royal meets fit American actress. She then discovers that everything is so unfair. He then discovers that racism is actually a bad thing.
The theater was not the only place where this unvarnished critique was present. It permeated other satirical mediums, such as the animated series The Prince, which viciously attacked their alleged avarice and post-royal financial objectives.
It's important we do this ourselves, Harry, and not live off your family.
I agree. We'll just have to find a way to make £50 billion on our own.
The show did more than make fun of their money. Additionally, it made extremely personal jabs at Meghan's attitude, depicting her as yearning for any form of attention.
Meghan Markle to join the 11th season of The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. Ugh, so thirsty for any kind of attention.
From stand-ups to cartoons, the takedowns were coming from all sides. And believe me when I say that Jimmy Carr's joke that allegedly sparked the most outrage of all is still to come. However, the British assault was only beginning. And the renowned puppet performance spitting image is a superb example of its brutal mockery. In one of their most ruthless takedowns, they criticize Meghan's post-royal job choices by using the Prince Harry puppet to say it.
I'm here to tell my truth and make a shit ton of money out of podcasting as I don't have any discernible talent.
The show showed Harry as much worse than Meghan, who was seen as a cynical opportunist. A spoilt and utterly ignorant man-child. A middling achiever who gets all he needs from his butler.
You stay at the top of the middle of your game.
Well, Pads, an early start's important, so my butler Perkins gets up at 5 a.m. and does a 10k for me.
The show persisted in focusing on this aspect of the pampered royal, even making fun of his diet. One more brief insult to Meghan's rank juices.
Nutrition is important, so Perkins makes me a bacon sandwich in case Megs has made another one of her rank smoothies.
Wow, Harry, people don't know how tough you.
They weren't the only subjects of the ridicule. As this joke about their Netflix agreement aptly illustrates, it also took aim at their enormous affluence and detachment from reality.
About television, do you have a Netflix account?
Yeah, it's got about $9 million in it.
Puppets were not the only medium for this kind of brutal satire. The unbridled rage became a recurring issue among other celebrities, such as Kelly Osbourne, who launched an intense diatribe filled with profanity directed specifically at Harry.
Complaining, I'm the only one that's ever had mental problems, like my life was so hard, everybody's life is hard.
That unadulterated rage demonstrated how intimate the attacks had grown. However, the joke that many felt went beyond being personal to being dangerously careless was delivered by comedian Jimmy Carr. He used the audience's greatest dread of what would happen if Harry left as a weapon. Because it referenced the one person who no British citizen ever wants to see close to the throne, the joke sparked a huge internet uproar. Particularly after his association with that notorious island was made public. The punchline that really went too far was this one.
If something terrible happened to William and Kate and the kids, right? The Queen and Charles are very old, they're going to go at some stage, and then you're left with King Andrew. No one wants that.
The only question that remained was where all of this material originated from, as the comedy onslaught reached its most contentious climax. Many believed that the Sussexes themselves had the answer. The strange dispute that broke out over a single unpleasant moment in Meghan's own Netflix series was a prime illustration.
I don't think anyone in the world knows that Meghan Markle has eaten Jack in the Box and loves it.
It's so funny, too, that you keep saying Meghan Markle. You know I'm sus.
Other celebs, such as Amy Schumer, were drawn to it and couldn't help but take a subtle jab.
But why don't we have to call Kate Middleton Kate of Wales? Okay, Hilaria, out.
Her supporters were frantically searching for a source after Schumer's subtle remark. A video in which Meghan appeared to clumsily reprimand Mindy Kaling, an actress, for using her given name. Following the original clip's viral success, countless of fan-made parodies were produced, with producers making the most heinous fun of the Duchess's insistence on her title.
My name is Meghan Sussex now. Call me Meghan Markle one more time, Mindy Kaling.
The original event was used as a springboard to attack other facets of her public character, such as her assertions of having intimate, one-sided relations with other celebrities, and these parodies swiftly got out of hand.
She and I are such great friends, like besties, like I love her. Like she doesn't know my name, but we're best friends.
Her entire carefully designed lifestyle brand was then the focus of this fanned derision. Her cooking show was criticized for being all style and no content, and creators started creating parodies that encapsulated this complaint brilliantly.
The best way to have a snack is to take the snack out of one bag, move them into another bag, and then label this new bag.
The parodies ended with a final, scathing indictment of her full and utter detachment from everyday life, emphasizing how ridiculous it was for her to offer advice from such a privileged position.
Everyone says they don't have time to make homemade meals, but if you just have 3 nannies, 2 butlers, a housekeeper, a driver, and a full-time personal assistant, you have all the time in the world.
What is the final decision, then? The reason is because they no longer own their story. Fans, critics, and comedians have taken over it and are using the couple's own words and content as their main weapon. This dilemma is more than just a PR one. Their entire post-royal brand has this basic design problem. They construct a story around a number of incomprehensible paradoxes that were bound to fall apart when the public's attention was drawn to them. For the influencer age, this has turned into the ultimate cautionary tale. You cannot sell personal access to your life and demand privacy at the same time. You can't preach from a fancy aeroplane about protecting the earth. Furthermore, you cannot live a life of unfathomable affluence and lecture the public about adversity. Eventually, the hypocrisy becomes too big of a target for anyone to overlook. Comedians like Trevor Noah were able to pinpoint that weakness with extreme precision. They did not have to be malevolent. All they had to do was pay attention. The laughing around the world was directed not at trivial slights but rather at the revelation of a reality that the Sussexes themselves were intent on denying. The issue wasn't caused by the jokes. They just made the world aware of it. Additionally, that bell cannot be unrung. Every attempt to be taken seriously once you've been reduced to a punchline runs the risk of becoming part of the joke itself, which leaves us with the only question that counts right now: what will happen to them in the future? The last word was supposed to be the shocking Oprah interview. The Netflix documentary was then supposed to correct the record. Then his final truth was to be found in Harry's book, Spare. But instead of securing their story, these multi-million-dollar projects had the opposite effect. With each truth they revealed, they further surrounded them, becoming fuel for comedians, proof for critics, and content for reactors. What could they do now that their main weapons have been used up and their reputation may have been tarnished? Can they possibly construct a new story on top of these ruins? Or are they caught in a global comedy that they never wanted to star in for the rest of their lives?